Hello again. I am obviously not in the shop today. I'm on my lunch break, and I thought I would take this opportunity, it's such a pretty day out, to shoot the intro for 2 of my upcoming videos. In today's video, I'm using some small scraps of walnut. They were ends off of pin blanks that are too short to make another pin out of. What I did is I turned those into 10mm dowels. I then drilled some 10mm holes in a blank. I glued those dowels in, and here's what I came up with. It's a nice looking little pin. It's very quick and very appealing. I've been showing this around to some of my friends, and they really seem to like it. So if you'd like to see how I made it, stick around and I'll show you. I have hot glued this piece of walnut to a sacrificial block that I have in my chuck. Now you could just as easily true this up between centers and it would work the same way. But what I'm going to do is just true it up. I'm going to try to leave it a little thicker than 10mm because 10mm is the desired size that I want to turn this down to. So let me get her trued up. With my walnut blank trued up, I now want to bring my 10mm tenon tool over to the lathe, and you can see the long end and the short end. The short end is where I ground the tool off. I'm going to put the long end on the bottom. It rides on the bottom of the dowel, and then I push the short end into the dowel, which will cut, and it will make a perfect 10mm tenon. I've got my dowels cut, and what I want to do now is I've taken a standard pin blank, and I'm going to use a slimline pin kit on this one. So I broke the blank in half and measured how far up it is to the end of the tube for the front and back half of the pin. I've got enough dowel to make 7 3/4-inch dowels, which is the thickness of my blank. So I'm going to have one here, one here, one here. Then I'm going to do just the opposite, one here, one here, and one here. So I've got the blank measured, I've got line drawn down the center on both sides, and I've got my spots picked. All that's left is to drill the holes for the dowels. Now what I want to do is take my dowels and I'm going to glue them into each of the holes in my blank. Use a little CA glue. This is a medium thickness CA glue. Just going to put some on the end of the blank. I'll put it into the hole, let it come out the bottom. And I'm going to shoot this with just a shot of little activator. Let's glue another peg in. I'm just going to take a flush cut saw and I'm going to cut these dowels free from the blank. Now we're going to repeat the process and glue the dowels in that hole and the other 3 holes. And here's what the finished blank looks like. You can see where each of the dowels was inserted into the blank. This is a maple blank and these are some walnut dowels. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and get it cut and drilled, glued up, and then we'll turn it into a pin and see what it looks like. Here's one last look at the blank before I turn it. Here's the back part and front part of the pin. You can see I've barrel trimmed it. The tube is already inserted. I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't bother showing the cutting process and the drilling process and the gluing process and the barrel trimming. I didn't bother showing all that because you've probably seen it before in other videos of mine or other videos from other people. So that's a pretty standard process. But I am going to show the turning. But the blank, both halves are ready. All that's left to do is get it on the lathe and turn it into a pin. Very happy with how this is turning out. I think this would be a much better design for a fatter pin. I'm making a slimline. I usually use slimlines in my shop for all of my testing, but now that I know this works, it could easily be scaled up to a Stratus or any pin that had a thicker diameter, and I think it would look amazing. I'm going to go ahead and shut the camera off, do a little sanding, get this cleaned up, and then we'll come back and put a finish on it. I've sanded my blank to 400 and I've wiped it down with a little denatured alcohol. I'm ready now to go ahead and apply a finish. Basically going to lightly hit each blank because they feel very smooth, and I'm really just trying to take any rough spots down. Now I'll shut the lathe off. They feel like glass. Take a quick peek at what we have. I like what I'm seeing. I think I'm going to go ahead and apply some polish. Wow, I like how it looks. Give that another bump. I like my ink to extend just a little bit farther than that. There we go. I think I'm going to bump it just a tad bit more. It's almost there. There we go. That's what I like. Perfect. Now we'll readjust the press here and let's get the cap assembled. With the cap, when I assemble these, I always like to get the cap, just give it a tap so that I can take a look at the blank, and if there's anything I need to hide, I have the option to do that. And actually there's nothing to hide, so I think I'm going to put it there so I see the most of the brown dowels, or the walnut dowels. There we go. Let's put this together. I'm very pleased with how this pen turned out. I had the idea just to use up some of my scraps, turn them into dowels, and run them through a pen blank and see how they looked. And I think if this was on a fatter blank where it stayed polka dots, that would really look cool. But I kind of like how I got into the side of the blanks, or inside of the dowels, I mean. It kind of gives a neat effect. I think it's very appealing. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a question or comment. I'll answer all questions and comments. If you're not a subscriber, I invite you to hit that subscribe button. That way all of my future videos will be delivered directly to your YouTube inbox. I want you to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Have a great evening, and I'll see you again real soon.